So today we're going through my great-great-great-grandmother's scrapbook, essentially. My dad has had this in his office for years, but this summer we went through it and he was like, yeah, I guess you didn't know your great-great-great-grandmother was super involved in the women's suffrage movement. And I was like, that's the most badass thing I've ever heard. I am by no means an expert of the women's suffrage movement. I was literally watching YouTube videos last night. As you can see, this book is obviously falling apart. It is over 100 years old. And the sleeve of the book, it says, I bequeath this book to my granddaughter, Catherine Leyson Thomas. Reason why I truly cannot read that. We're just gonna go through these articles. She has cut and glued all of these articles to all of these pages. This one says, 80 years is what the friends of Mrs. Harriet Leyson celebrated right royally in this city last night. It's so wild how language and verbiage has changed over the years, because obviously no one speaks like this anymore and writes like this. Mrs. Leyson, for whom the surprise was prepared. This is just like a Facebook post. Like this would be on Facebook now, but it was in the newspaper. The guests assembled at 7:45 last evening, each gentleman wearing a buttonhole bouquet and each lady carrying one in hand. Mrs. Kate Leyson Brown, courageous and capable exponent of the equality of rights. The subject of the sketch, Mrs. Kate Leyson Brown, is a thoroughbred Welsh woman by both birth and parentage. She was born in Clyndic, South Wales. Whoa, that's crazy. In 1849, when she was but a small child, the family came to America. Thus, the Welsh woman has grown up with the ideas, ideals, and sentiments of a progressive, patriot American citizen through retaining strong feelings of love for the dear, cherished fatherland. Mrs. Brown's maiden name was Leyson. My dad's middle name is Leyson. If I am lucky enough to have children one day, I have to name one of my children Leyson. If anyone steals that from me, I will find you. She has long been identified with temperance and reform work, and in 1896 had the honor to be chosen a special delegate to present the Massachusetts State WCTU at the National Convention held at St. Louis. Women's Christian Temperance Union is what the WCTU is. So the Women's Christian Temperance Union is an active international temperance organization that was among the first organizations of women devoted to social reform with a program. It plays an influential role in the temperance movement. The organization supported the 18th Amendment to refresh all of our memories. Established the prohibition of alcohol. Oh, man. Dang. Grandma Leyson. A large and enthusiastic meeting of men and women who are interested in the cause of women's suffrage was held last evening at the home of Mrs. Kate Leyson Brown. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. The members of the local committee gave a truthful and amusing account of the various members of the House during the debate this week on the women's suffrage bill and expressed the hope that when the women do vote, they will send representatives who at least will uphold the dignity of their office. Ms. Ryan feels that the women's clubs are stepping stones to women's suffrage. For in these clubs, the members learn much of current events and begin to ask the reason why. Mrs. Brown became noticeably prominent in public philanthropy through the drowning of, through the drowning of her eldest son, a lad of nearly 16 who broke through the ice while skating on the Charles River. That's awful. The erection of the life-saving apparatus that now lined the river from Waltham to Newton was accomplished. Oh, so because her son drowned, she worked towards putting lifesavers on the sides of the river. As a child, from reading the pathetic story of Uncle Tom, Mrs. Brown soon acquired great sympathy with the colored race and their progress toward honorable, patriotic, philanthropic, and intelligent citizenship. Whoa. She desired to become identified with the ethical progress of this people, and therefore joined the Women's Era Club of Boston to assist in the efforts of the work that this splendid club of women is doing for the betterment of all classes, but especially for the colored people of Boston. A member of the said federation sent to its delegate Mrs. J. St. P. Ruffin to represent it, and a seat in the convention was refused her because she was a colored woman presenting a colored club, and suppressed the authorized delegate's voice, claiming that the business to be presented was an individual question, whereupon the presiding officer called out, "The delegate from Massachusetts is out of order." As she sat down, I stood up and, coming forward so as to be heard by the president, cried, Madam President, Madam President." As I did so, members of the Massachusetts delegation kept pulling at my skirt and crying out in smothered tones, "Sit down, Mrs. Brown, sit down, don't speak." Wow. This article that she put in here is titled, "The Education of the Negro." Several days have passed since Governor Vardaman of Mississippi delivered his inaugural address, in which he opposed the education of the Negro and advocated the repeal of the 15th Amendment. It is conceded that the education of the Southern Negro has failed to bring about the improvement so loudly claimed for education in years gone by. Existing conditions in the South go to show that education is chiefly useful to those who are mentally ripened to an appreciation of the knowledge attained, and that the education of the heart should precede the education of the head. Reading it really does put a pit in your stomach. It's crazy. The education of the Negro has stimulated his ambitions for social equality, and the development of a desire to mingle in a social way with the Caucasian may lead up to an abnormal expression in the form of crime. Many a man who has been educated far beyond his cerebral powers has passed through life a victim of disappointed ambitions because he has been mentally unable to realize the aspirations which the attainment of knowledge inspired.
That's insane. Jesus. When was this?
Like some of them say 1900, some of them say 1906. Early 1900s, yeah. 1900s. So this is incredible. Opening this book that was my great-great-great-grandmother's just really gave a tangible breath of life to this time period and what women experienced and how far we've come and how much work we still need to do. And it's just very enlightening. Also, I wore this shirt because last night when I was watching YouTube videos of the women's suffrage movement, I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear, and I felt like this shirt reflected a lot of the style of clothing that women wore then, which was, you know, sort of a two-piece set, a long skirt that you wore at the waist, and then a blouse with puffy sleeves that covered your arms and went up to your neck. But yeah, I was inspired by seeing what women wore then. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you found this as interesting as I did, and I encourage you to find things in your family history that inspire you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.